audience. All right, welcome. Welcome to IPTV, the Trumpeter's Call. This is a subsidiary of Eric Newell Ministries. We are so glad that you chose to join us. Again, if you haven't jumped over yet, come on over, jump over. We're going to do a very interactive exercise coming up here very shortly. So just encourage everyone to jump over to Facebook Live. You can go to the Trumpeter's Call Facebook page. You can even go to Eric Newell Ministries YouTube if you wanted to, but you can go over to, again, Trumpeter's Call Facebook page and come on over there. Help us with this very interactive message and exercise we're about to do. All right. So our topic today is led by the Spirit. Led by the Spirit. Okay. In Romans 8:14, it says, "For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God. For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God." So today what we want to do is we want to be led by the Spirit. Apostle talked about last week about really following. So we want to follow the lead of the Spirit. And what do we want to follow the lead of the Spirit today? Well, my good friend Elder Darrell Brown taught last week on Thursday, powerful message. Encourage you to get it. He talked about meditation. Meditation. Now, what we want to do today is we want to follow the Spirit and meditate and ask a few questions. We want to ask a few questions. It's about to become, we're coming to the close of one year and going into a new year. And again, around this time, I really like to do a lot of self-reflection. In corporate America, when I work with companies, we call this a retrospective. We want to take a look in retrospect, in other words, going backwards and seeing what how the year went. Oh, hey, God bless you. Hey, Sister Wynette, good to see you. Thank you very much for joining. Sister Ann Paxton, such a faithful person at Inspiring Ministries. Good to see you. Okay, so we want to be led by the Spirit. We want to follow the Spirit in meditation and ask a few of these questions. All right, what questions? First and foremost, I want you to ask yourself, where art thou? Where art thou? Over the past year, take a look at these last 11, 12 months and just ask, where are you? Where are you? See, it was just over a year ago I was teaching and I showed this slide and this quote for John Maxwell. He said, "The timing will never be perfect for you to pursue your dream, so you might as well start now. If you don't, then next year you'll be a year older and not a step closer to it." We did something similar last year, and I put this slide up and I was telling everybody, look, think about this time next year. Think about what you want to accomplish. Think about the things that God has put in your heart and think about what you want to do. So here we are a year later, a year older. What have we done? What have we accomplished? The goals that we set in January of 2021, how did we do on those? Did we get close to them? Did we accomplish them? Did we not accomplish them? I know for me and my wife and I, a lot of great things happened. God blessed us in so many different ways. God blessed us with our home. God blessed us with a new car. Family was blessed. A lot of things happened, right? A lot of great things happened. Met a lot of personal goals. Wonderful things happened. But if I can be honest, there were some things I didn't quite accomplish. For example, I wanted to get down a few pant sizes. I wanted to lose a little bit of weight. I lost some, then gained some, lost some, gained some, right? It was kind of like the stock market, up and down, right? Didn't quite achieve the goal that I was hoping to. And so my question is, if you look back in this past year, where are you? Where are you? Where are you in your spiritual walk? Where are you in the things that God has put in you? We're a year older. Where are we? So, the second question, based upon where we are we happy where we are? Are we happy where we are? If we look back at this past year and look at the things that have happened, where are we? And how happy are we to be there? Now, I shared this a few weeks ago. Organizational psychologist and New York Times bestselling author, Adam Grant, he coined this term languishing. Hey, Pastor Dunn, good to see you. He coined this term languishing. Languishing is a sense of stagnation and emptiness. It feels as if you're muddling through your days, looking at your life through a foggy windshield. Well, what do you mean? Bishop Mark has been talking about the residual of what we've been going through the past few years. And if I could be honest, there were some parts of my life I felt like I was just languishing. I didn't feel like I was flourishing. I felt like I was just kind of, and you know, I was talking with Apostle Eric over the past, past few weeks, and I told him, I said, you know what? I didn't even realize, but for the last few months, it was really hard for me to wake up in the morning. It was hard for me to wake up. And those of you that know me know I am a morning person. I love doing things like the Trumpeter's Call. I love doing things like training martial arts, working out, praying, studying in the wee early morning hours. However, I was languishing. I found myself waking up later and later. It was like 5. Okay, 5 isn't too bad. 5:30. Oh, that's not too bad. 6, 6:30, 7, 7:15. I was like, God, what's happening to me? Hey, Apostle, good to see you. But I felt myself just languishing, and I felt myself, the scary part of it was I really feel like God has given me a lot of passion. When people talk about me, they say, "Oh yeah, he's really energetic." You know, in corporate America, when people hear me speak or whatever, "Oh, he's just so passionate. He's so energetic," etc. I gotta be honest, I didn't feel energetic these last few months. I didn't feel passionate. I felt like I was just trying to wake up in the morning and just get through my day. Now, so are we happy where we are, or have we been languishing? Now, the next question we want to ask, why are we there? Why are we there? Why are we there? Now, there are things that are uncontrollable, external circumstances that happen. I mean, we can't control the weather, we can't control things happen. Last year, we had bought our home, and beautiful new home. We haven't even got a chance to move into it yet, and had a bad ice storm, and a tree hit our fence, our deck, and caused a bunch of damage. And I'm like, Lord, what in the world? We haven't even got a chance to move in. We just closed on our house not too long ago. Thank God for people like Elder Kendall, who is who is a master craftsman with his hands, and his buddy Deacon Danny Mitchell, because they have helped us tremendously with our home. So there are things that happen to us externally. There are things that happen that are uncontrollable. Apostle Eric is always talking to me about, son, you got to learn how to deal with the uncontrollable, because there are things that happen. As much as we might want to control things, they just happen outside of our control. Many of us, maybe we have lost some loved ones. Our condolences go out to Apostle Eric, Teacher Rebecca, Pastor Bernice Dunn, Elaine Murphy, so many people with the loss of their mother, with the loss of Pastor Shirley Murphy. That's Elaine Murphy's mother, and that is the aunt of Apostle Eric and Pastor Bernice's sister. There are things that happen like that are uncontrollable. Wonderful, incredible woman of God. And we can't control those things. However, even when uncontrollable things happen, we are responsible for how we react. Now, of course, again, if people pass, there's going to be a grieving period, which I know when my mother passed, there was a very long grieving period. And, can't tell you that I'm completely over it. I don't know that you ever completely get over it. At the same time, there comes a point in time where, after the grieving, after the compassion, the condolences, and everything, that we have to look and how do we carry forward in honor of those that we love, that have gone on to be with the Lord. We've got to look and say, why are we here? Why are we languishing? If for those of us that were struggling just to survive, why are we there? What is the cause of that? What have we done? What have we done or not done that causes us to be there? Again, I'm not talking about external uncontrollable circumstances. I'm talking about the internal response that we have. Now, the next question, if we figured out, if we've prayed about where are we, if we've asked ourselves, are we happy here? And by the way, if you ask people, if you ask people, I've done this a lot, being a personal development coach, a trainer, etc. Are you happy where you're at? Do you enjoy doing what you do? Do you like what's happening? Most people will tell you, well, yeah, yeah, see, I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm good. Right? Almost as if it's like a question that takes people off guard and they're not quite sure how to answer it. They're not quite sure how to answer. So, if we've looked at our lives and we said, you know what, maybe there are some good things and wonderful things, God is doing it. And then there's probably some areas that we're like, I probably can do better. I could probably do better. There's some things I probably should change. The next question to ask is, how will you change things? How will you change things? I've heard someone say before, we are where we are because of what we have done. We are where we are. Our present state is the sum total of our experiences. It's not the sum total of our potential. It's our sum total of our experiences and how we responded to those experiences. Now, here's the thing. I go into organizations, I go with Apostle, into churches, etc. And the thing is, people are always wanting transformation. They always want to, how do we do something? How do we do something better? If you're in corporate America, chances are, how do you do things faster? How do you do things with higher quality? How do I make my people more productive, etc.? Right? Well, the question is, how willing are you to change? What are you going to do to change things? Now, I got to be honest. Sometimes, yeah, I like the benefits of transformation. I like the benefits of improvements. Uh, I'm not necessarily a big fan of the process and all the, you hear people say, Elder Brown used to say all the time, he's go, man, they're going through some changes. They're going through some changes, right? When you're going through changes, that doesn't feel good. All right. I'm not a fan of that feeling. I'm obviously a fan of transformation because I help companies and people and nonprofits do it all the time, but it's not really the most fun thing to go through, right? We've got to be willing to change. Henry Ford once said, if you always do what you always done, you'll always get what you always got. This also was made popular by Jessie Potter. She was the director of the National Institute for Human Relationships. See, the thing that we've got to understand, old ways won't open new doors. Old ways won't open new doors. Einstein said, we cannot solve our problems with the same level of thinking that created them. We cannot solve our problems with the same level of thinking that created them. Now, that's why Ephesians 4:23 says, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind. Be renewed in the spirit of your mind. Notice Paul did not say, be renewed into the intellect of your mind. Be renewed in all the information of your mind. That's not what the scripture says. We're talking about being led by the Spirit. Paul says, be renewed in the spirit of your mind. Why? Romans 8:7 says the carnal mind is enmity against God. Our natural inclination in our minds is to be enmity against God. You say, well, I'm a Christian. Well, I guarantee you, if you're a Christian, there are parts in you, there are parts in us, there are parts in me where I didn't want to be renewed in the spirit of my mind. And, you can get kind of hostile. Sometimes people bring things to you, you get kind of hostile. That's enmity. You get, what? What do you mean? And you get offended, you get angry, right? But that's part of the renewal process. That's part of the transformation process. We have to go through that if we want to do the new thing, if we want to open new doors, if we want to experience transformation, if we truly want to be led by the Spirit. See, 2 Corinthians 3:18 says, and we go from, we behold as looking in the glass, the image of the Lord, and we're transformed from glory to glory into that same image, even by the Spirit. So if we are really going to be led by the Spirit, we are going to be transformed little by little, glory to glory. We're going to be transformed by His Spirit into his image. That's what being led by the Spirit is about. Being led by the Spirit means change. Now, how can we look? How can we look at our lives? We did a retrospective. We asked ourselves some questions. What can we do? And the final question is, what can we do to change where we're at? Well, John Maxwell, he is a prolific author. Matter of fact, he's written over 100 books, and he is considered by many to be the #1 leadership expert in the world. He says this: the secret to your success is determined by your daily agenda. So if you want to know, he actually says this. He has a phenomenal book, Today Matters. And he says, I can tell people, I will know if they're going to be successful or not. If I can hang around them for one day, and looked at their daily agenda, that is going to tell me if they are going to have success. You know, I think many of you know that I used to coach professional indoor football. I've worked with a lot of athletes. I've worked with a lot of martial artists, etc. People are like, oh, well, I want to get, I remember when people were like, Coach, I want to get on the field. How do I get playing time? I'm a baller. I'm a baller. I should be out there. And I'm like, you don't ever work out. You don't know the playbook. You're lazy. Half the time, you don't even know where to line up. Okay. By the way, excuse me, y'all have to forgive me. That is a pet peeve of mine. Very recently, as mentioned, I'm a martial artist, and I had the tremendous honor of earning a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I have a black belt in karate, and I was showing my kids. I'm like, look, this is. I went and I earned a belt, and Princeton and Ethan were like, I want a belt. I want a belt. I said, you know what? You can get one. They're like, really? I said, yeah, you just got to keep practicing. You just got to keep practicing. You got to keep working at it, right? What are you getting at? Well, what I'm getting at is if we really want to improve, if we really want to see changes, if we really, really want to do the will of God, we've got to look at our daily agenda and say, what do we need to change in our day by day? Because he says, you will never change your life until you change something you do daily. We will never see changes. We're looking for this big ecclesiastical moment. We're looking for this right opportunity. We're looking for luck. We're looking for anything. A lot of times we look for this big thing to happen. But the big thing to happen is that we've got to change our daily agenda. We've got to change our daily life. How we live day in and day out, that is what's going to bring changes. And I love this last quote. He says, every day of your life is merely preparation for the next. Every day of your life is merely preparation for the next. I've shared before in Revelation chapter 1 and verse 8, he says, I am the Alpha and the Omega. I'm the Lord, I'm the God that is and was and is to come. See, God is ever present. And he's constantly working our past. He's constantly preparing our present, constantly preparing us for the future. He's constantly, Pastor Eric likes to sing that song, I'm somewhere in the future, right? God is trying to prepare us each and every day. He is trying to prepare us for the next, for the is to come. He is constantly trying to prepare us in the is, in the was. Why? For the is to come. He's the Alpha and the Omega. But see, the thing that we've got to realize, he's the Alpha and the Omega. We want to get to that Omega. We want to get to that end state, but we've got to realize there are a lot of process steps that have to happen in order for us to do that. And that has to happen on a day in and day out basis. We've got to be consistent. As a matter of fact, there was an article in the Harvard Business Review that says, what makes some people more productive than others? Hey, Sister Julie Brown, how you doing? What makes some people more productive than others? They did some research and they found that the professionals with the highest productivity scores were particularly adept at, number one, planning their work based on their top priorities, and then they acted with a definite objective. What does that mean? If we're being led by the Spirit, we've got to ask ourselves, is being led by the Spirit our top priority? Is being led by the Spirit our top priority? What is our top priority? Matthew 6:33 says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. We've got to understand what our top priority is. And then look at that next part. Then act with a definite objective. We've got to work with a sense of purpose. We've got to work with a sense of urgency. See, one of the biggest things that can really hurt companies, that can hurt churches, that can hurt individuals is getting complacent. Is getting complacent. See, sometimes we can be languishing and that becomes our norm. I told you a few weeks ago, I looked and I'm like, what have I been doing the last few months? Yeah, I was working, I was doing family, and I'd show up for church, but I was just going through the motions, the very thing that I can't stand doing. I was doing it. And you know what was bad? I almost started saying, you know what, this is okay. This is normal state of life. Okay. I almost became complacent with it. No, we are not supposed to be complacent with it. Listen, we will go through trials, we will go through tribulations, right? In John chapter 16 and verse 33, he says, in this world, you will have tribulation, okay? But then he says, be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world. We've got to look, what is our top priorities? And then we've got to act. We have got to act with purpose. We've got to act with urgency. We've got to act with a desperation and a hunger. The second thing, overcoming procrastination. See, when you're languishing, you're not really motivated. You know, I tell people all the time that, hey, at Eric Newell Ministries, we're all about inspiring people to pursue purpose. You know what's going to fight us the most? Lack of inspiration, demotivation, discouragement. You say, what? How dare you say that? No. To whom much is given, much is required. If we are called to be inspirers to the world, guess what? You are going to fight. You are going to fight. It is a fight to keep your inspiration. See, inspiration is really being led by the Spirit. When we're talking about being inspired, that's God breathing His Spirit into us. That's being led by the Spirit. See, inspiration and being led by the Spirit, it's the same thing. And you've got to fight for it. You have got to fight to keep your inspiration, because I'm telling you, the enemy, the carnal mind, is going to do everything to keep you from going after what God has called you to do. See, the thing is, the enemy will fight us. We keep thinking the enemy is going to be this big red thing with pitchforks and horns. No, the enemy is going to come in very subtly and just, you don't need to go to church today. You don't need to do that. It doesn't take all that. It's going to be very subtle. So we've got to be aware of that. Hey, God bless you. Sister Darlene Law, powerful woman of God, is always so faithful. The third thing, we got to focus on our daily accomplishments. Focusing on daily accomplishments. Day by day. We've got to look day by day. Now, some research shows, there's some research on a survey taken by Daytimers Incorporated. It said that only 1/3 of American workers plan their daily schedules. So what does that mean? Out of 100 people, only 33 of them actually plan their daily schedules. So what does that mean? Well, 67% don't plan. 67% don't plan their daily schedules. The old saying goes, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Now, so only 33% plan their daily schedules. And the scary part about that is, of those 33%, only 9% follow through and complete. So you only have 33 out of 100 people, or 3 out of 10 people, that actually plan their daily schedules, and then less than 9% of that follow through and complete. So what does that mean? Well, what that means is this: less than 3 out of 100 people plan daily and follow through and complete. Think about that. If you got 100 people in a room, only 3 of them are actually going to complete and follow through on their daily plan. And the thing is that only 33 out of those 100 are actually going to have a plan in the first place. Well, what are you getting at? What I'm getting at is this. In Psalms 90 and verse 12, it says, so teach us to number our days, that we may apply our hearts unto wisdom. This is Moses' only psalm. This is Moses' only psalm. And you know what was amazing is that if you think about Moses, we know that after he killed the Egyptians, he flew to Midian and he was there for 40 years. And of course, God used him to lead the Exodus. And then after that, they were in the wilderness. So this man spent 80 years in the wilderness, 80 years, 80 years in seclusion, 80 years in the wilderness, 80 years. But he says this, teach us to number our days. Teach us to number our days that we may apply our hearts to wisdom. What do you mean, number our days? Well, if you think about a number is a value. A number is a value. So what do you mean? So teach us to value our days. Teach us to put a value on our days. Why? That we may apply our hearts unto wisdom. Wisdom is application. In other words, Lord, help me to value each and every day. Now, this is a man, again, he spent 80 years in 80 years in seclusion, 80 years in the wilderness, right? And he said, teach me to value our days, and then give me wisdom. Help me apply myself each and every day. You know, when I first got saved and I was in college, I found this book by Charles Swindoll called Living Above the Level of Mediocrity. Living above the level of mediocrity in pursuit of excellence. And I saw this book. I remember I was at the Christian bookstore and I saw this book and it had an eagle. And at that time, God had given me a vision of an eagle. He was showing me my prophetic call. And I was like, I've got to have this book. And he breaks down this verse and he says this. So teach us to number our days that we may apply our hearts to wisdom. He says another way to look at it is that, so cause us to know how to assign significance, the power of significance to our days so that we can gain the ability to see it as you see it. I've got to confess, sometimes I can get so busy, I'm just trying to make it through the day. I'm just trying to say, God, please just help me get through the day. Help me get past the day. There are times where I have weeks that are so busy that I'm like, oh my gosh, I got this, I got that, I got to. But the scripture says, help me to assign significance. Even in those tough days, Lord, help me to assign significance and give me the ability to see it as you see it. See, God looks at each and every day in terms of opportunity. See, in Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 15 and 16, in the New International Version, he says, be careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity. Now, you got to understand, some days are definitely harder than others, but see, people say, oh, God works in mysterious ways. Yes, God does do things in a mystery. He does things in a mystery. Hey, Sister Sherry Cobbins calling all the way from Alaska. God bless you. So good to see you. But we've got to make the most of every opportunity. Those opportunities are often hid in a mystery. That's why God gave Apostle this revelation about horology, the study and measurement of time. The study and measurement of time. If we come to the table of opportunity, if we come to some people who are very, very skilled, who have applied their hearts to wisdom in this study of horology, in this discipline of horology, understanding the study and measurement of time. See, if we get around, if we go to the table of opportunity and we start hanging around people that know how to recognize opportunity, see, we can look at our day and say, oh, I'm so busy, I got this, that, and the other, or it's just another day. Just another day, right? You know, I was talking to somebody, a young man, wonderful, talented, incredible, intelligent young man. I was talking to him. That person sounded like a 50-year-old man who was going through a midlife crisis, who was bored to death out of his life. I was like, no, you've got too much potential. You have opportunity. See, horology is the study and measurement of time. It helps us understand. It helps us, people who are horologists, that are very in tune to the Spirit, who are led by the Spirit, can help us recognize opportunity. Here's the thing about time. Whether you are the CEO of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, or Sheila Johnson, the first African-American woman to be the first woman billionaire in the U.S., or a future NBA Hall of Famer like LeBron James, or award-winning actor like Denzel Washington, guess what? Each and every one of those individuals, all the way from Adam till now, you have the same 24 hours in a day. We have the same 24 hours in a day as millionaires and billionaires. It's what we do with that time. We have the same time. You cannot buy time. You cannot buy time. But we have the opportunity in front of us to do something with our time. See, God has been really dealing with me about strategy. Strategy. See, if we're led by the Spirit, I believe God will lead us to strategy, a plan of action designed to achieve a major or overall aim, the skill of making or carrying out plans to achieve a goal. We've got to seek the Lord for strategy. We've got to seek the Lord for strategy in our spiritual life. Let me ask you, what's your strategy for your spiritual life? What's your strategy for your prayer life, for your study life? What's your strategy for your worship life, your praise life? See, for me, mornings are so crucial because that's when I pray, that's when I study, that's when I meditate, that's when I seek the face of God. And when I was languishing, I wasn't getting up early. And guess what? I wasn't studying and praying like I normally do. Why? The enemy was trying to steal my strategy. What is your strategy for your relationship with God? What's your strategy for family? You know, every time I watch Apostle Eric with kids, especially our kids, right? I watch, how does he talk? What's his tone? What's his voice inflection? How does he teach? How does he handle a situation where they don't listen to you? I've got to be honest. A lot of times when I'm dealing with family stuff, I'm dealing with kids, especially when kids don't listen. You tell them something and they do the exact opposite. I got to be honest. I'm not led by the Spirit, or the Spirit I'm being led by is not the Holy Spirit. I guarantee you, sometimes the way I react is not holy. Okay? I've got to have a strategy about my family. You know, I love to study. I love to research. I love to seek the Word of God. I love to seek these incredible things that God has put before us. I love to study, you know, in my profession. I work in the information age, right? Information technology. I've got to constantly be researching and studying. I've got to be fully transparent. God had to deal with me and said, look, you're doing all this research, studying. You need to research how to be a better father. You need to research how to be a better family man. You need to start studying stuff. So I went and got books about fatherhood. Fortunately, I have an awesome spiritual father to watch, and I've also got to do my own study. Professionally, I've done some research and found out that less than 1% of the population will actually work full-time ministry. Even in churches, mega churches, 30, 40, 50,000 people churches, less than 1% of their population actually works full-time ministry. So many of us, we're going to have some kind of secular vocation, whether that's working in corporate America, whether that's working in social mobilization programs, whether that's working for nonprofits, whether that's your own business, whatever it is, we're going to spend a significant amount of time in our lives working something secular. We still need to be led by the Spirit. What's our strategy for that? And then financially, somebody told Bishop Mark one time when they were going through marriage counseling, money isn't everything. Bishop Mark looked at him, and the way he does, nodded his head and said, you're right. Money isn't everything, but you still need it. I know a lot of Christians are so worried and racked their brains around how are we going to pay for this? How are we going to pay for that? And understandably, for good reason. You guys know my financial history. Hey, God bless you, Pastor Renee. Sister Sherry Coleman, good to see you. But we've got to look at our finances. And again, my good friend Elder Darrell Brown has a wonderful company called Jumpstart Coaching and Development. He will help you with your finances if you need it. But we've got to look at ourselves and we got to look at our strategy. Do we even have a strategy for these areas of our life? Oh, and not to mention physically, you know, January was always high times when I was working in the gym business. But you know what? By the middle of January, towards the end of January, everybody's New Year's resolution was gone. And we were still collecting money through your EFT. Thank you very much. All right. What's our strategy physically? We've got to get healthy. You get healthy, you have more energy. You have more energy, you can do stuff, right? And of course, the thing is that we've got to understand is that our spiritual life needs to be involved with each and every one of these things. We've got to seek God for a strategy. And by the way, physically, contact our very own certified personal trainer, Jennifer Moon at Inspire Fitness. She has a wonderful program. Please contact her. She will be happy to talk with you And by the way, yes, this is a business. So if she works with you, please don't think that she's going to give you a Christian discount. She will definitely give you a very reasonable price, but it is a business. So at any rate, what am I getting at? We've got to seek God for our spiritual life. We've got to seek God for a strategy for every area in our lives. And we've got to understand that unless we have a strategy for our daily lives, unless we have a strategy for our daily agenda, we will not be successful. However, I'm encouraging you, I'm imploring you, I'm exhorting you, I'm begging you before the mercies of God that you would seek the Lord, that you would seek his face, that you would be led by the Spirit. Change your daily routine and make each day your masterpiece. All right. God bless you, everybody. We are at time and we are going to go out with the trumpet.